In case of emergency, this is the plenary hall exit plan. For guests situated at the rostrum, the nearest exits are at the north and south rostrum. For occupants at the first floor and front rows of the VIP gallery, the north, south, and main entrance exits are available. For occupants at the VIP gallery, the main entrance and north and south VIP exits are available. For occupants at the second floor gallery, there are exits available at both sides. For occupants at the third floor gallery, there are available exits at the east and west sides.
Thank you. Session is called to order. All please rise for the Philippine National Anthem.
Bayang magiliw, perlas ng silanganan, alam ng puso, sa titik mo'y buhay. Lupang bundok sa simoy at sa langit mong paghaw, may nilang ang tula at awit sa paglayang minamahal. Ang kisap ng watawat mo'y tagumpay na nagdidinig, ang bituin at araw niya kailan pa may magdidilim. Lupa ng araw ng walang pagsinta, buhay ay langit sa piling mo. Aming ligaya dapat may mga apit at mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Please remain standing for the invocation to be delivered by the lady from the Lone District of Calamba City, the Honorable Charisse Ann C. Hernandez.
Let us be in the spirit of prayer. Almighty and loving God, we gather today in your presence to resume our session as the house of your people, the people of the Philippines who seek your presence, protection, providence at this moment in time. We are here today to respond to your calling to serve the people of our nation and of our constituents. It is a great and daunting task, but we know that when it is your voice that calls us, and with your grace, anything is possible. Especially it is for the common good. Kaya po, lumalapit kami sa inyo ng may kababaang loob. Sa araw na ito, nakikiisa kami sa pagdadalamhati ng aming mga kababayan na lubos na naapektuhan ng bagyong Christine. We remember those who lost their lives due to these calamities. Higit 1.7 million na pamilya po ang apektado at 139 na buhay na ang nawala. We remember their families and loved ones who today experience grief and agony due to their loss. Hinihiling po namin ang inyong paglingap at kalakasan para sa mga nawalan ng mahal sa buhay, tahanan at kabuhayan. Panginoon, bigyan niyo po sila ng kapayapaan at tibay ng loob sa gitna ng kanilang pinagdadaanan. Hinihiling din po namin ang inyong proteksyon at lakas para sa aming mga frontliners, rescue workers, volunteers at mga medical personnel na walang pagod na naglilingkod sa mga apektadong lugar. Palakasin niyo po sila at ilayo sa anumang kapahamakan habang patuloy silang tumutugon sa pangailangan ng aming mga kababayan. On this National Day of Mourning, we pray for the healing of our nation. May this solemn day serve as a reminder of the fragility of life and of the importance of unity. So allow us, representatives of the people of the Philippines, to deliver leadership in this crucial time. All we humbly ask for today is that you make each and every one of us at this session hall to become instruments of your mercy and compassion, that the desire to serve prevail in each of us. Guide us, Lord, to act with efficiency and generosity in our efforts to provide aid, comfort, and support to all those who have been impacted. Grant us wisdom in every decision we make. May each one of them reflect our sincere desire to serve, protect, and uplift our countrymen. We entrust to you our nation. We entrust to you our people. All this we pray in your holy name. Christ Jesus, amen.
The Secretary General is directed to call the roll of members.
Roll call of members. Honorable Representative Abalos, Abante, Abunda, Acharon, Asidre, Acop, Adyong, Advincula, Agaraw, Alba, Albano, Almario, Almonte, Alonte, Alvarez Jose, Alvarez Mercedes, Alvarez Pantaleon, Amante, Amatong, Angara, Aquino, Aquino Magsaysay, Arbison, Arenas, Arrogancia, Asistio, Ataide, Aumentado, Balindong, Barba, Barbers, Baronda, Baskug, Bautista, Bautista Lim, Bernos, Bilyones, Biron, Bolilia, Bondok, Bongalon, Bordado, Bosita, Briones, Prosas, Buhain, Bulot Begtang, Bustos, Cabredo, Cagas, Kahayon Uy, Calderon, Calixto, Campos, Kawagdan, Cardema, Cari, Castro Franz, Castro Jean, Celeste, Sendanya, Chan, Chato, Chua, Chungalaw, Ko Angelica Natasha, Ko Elizaldi, Ko Pilar, Ko Juanco Jaime Eduardo Mark, Ko Juanco Mark, Colada, Coliantes, Corvera, Cruz Ambrosio, Cruz Ricardo, Cuwa, Quaresma, Dagoo, Dalipe, Dalog, Dayanghirang, Daza, De Jesus, Divinesia, Defensor, Del Mar, De Los Santos, Dimaporo Muhammad Khalid, Dimaporo City Amina, Dionisio, Domingo, Duavit, Duhali, Duterte, D. Faustino Ino, D. Faustino Michael Carlos, D. Ian Paul, Ecleo, Emano, Enverga, Escudero, Espares, Espina, Estrella, Udela, Fariñas, Fernandez, Ferrer Antonio, Ferrer Juliet Marie, Flores, Fortes, Frasco, Fresnedi, Fuentebella, Galeyos, Garcia Albert, Garcia Dante, Garcia Jose Arturo, Garcia Maria Angela, Garcia Pablo Jan, Garcia Vincent, Guardiola, Garin, Gasataya, Gato, Go Ed Christopher, Go Mark, Goles, Gomez, Gonzaga, Gonzales Aurelio, Gonzales Neptali, Gonzales Sandro, Goriseta, Guico, Gintu, Gulias, Gutierrez, Haresco, Hataman, Hernandez, Herrera, Oribata, Javier, Ko Olga, Ko Ricardo, Ko Wilton, Konghun, Labad-Labad, Lakson, Lakson Noel, Lagman, Lagon Daphne, Lagon Sani, Lara, Lazatin, Lee, Legarda, Libanan, Lim Kay Chong, Loyola, Luistro, Lumayag, Macapagal Arroyo, Maceda, Madrona, Magsino, Malapitan, Mangawang, Manikis, Manuel, Marañon, Marcoleta, Marcos, Mariano Hernandez, Marinho, Marquez, Martinez, Mastura, Matibag, Matugas, Mendoza, Mercado, Mercado Revilla, Miguel, Momo, Morden, Nava, Nisay, Nograles Juan Fidel Felipe, Nograles Margarita, Nolasco, Owaminal, Olaso, Olivares, Ongchuan, Ordanes, Ortega, Uwano Dizon, Padiernos, Paduano, Paglas, Palma, Panaligan, Pancho, Panotes, Pascual, Peña, Pimentel, Plaza, Pleito, Primicia Sagabas, Pumaren, Puno, Kimbo, Rama, Rehencia, Remulla, Revilla Brian, Revilla Ramon Jolo, Reyes, Rillo, Rivera, Robes, Rodriguez Eulogio, Rodriguez Rufus, Roman, Romero, Romualdez Ferdinand Martin, Romualdez Yeda Marie, Romualdo, Romulo, Roque, Sakdalan, Sagarbaria, Sakaluran, Salceda, Sali, Salimbangon, Salo, Santos, Saulug, Silverio, Singson Richel, Singson Ronald, Singson Mihan, Solon, Suwan, Suwansing Horacio, Suwansing Micaela Angela, Suarez, Talyado, Tamayo, Tambunting, Tan Joseph, Tan Keith Micah, Tan Reynolds Michael, Tan Samir, Tan Stephen James, Tan Tambut, Tanchay, Tantuatco, Tariela, Teodoro, Teves, Tiangco, Tieng, Tolentino, Tulfo Erwin, Tulfo Jocelyn, Tulfo Ralph Wendell, Tupas, Tutor, T, Umali, Unabia, Ungab, Uy, Valeriano, Valmayor, Vargas, Vargas Alfonso, Velasco, Veloso Tuazon, Vergara, Verzosa, Villa, Villafuerte Luis Raymond, Villafuerte Miguel Luis, Villanueva, Villar, Villaraza Suarez, Villarica, Violago, Yamsuan, Yap Christiantel, Yap Christopherson, Yap Edvic, Yap Eric, U Divina Grace, U Giselle Victoria, Yulo, Zamora Amparo Maria, Zamora Maria Carmen, Zamora Isabel Maria, Zubiri. Mr. Speaker, the roll call shows that 183 members responded to the call.
With 183 members responding to the call, the chair declares the presence of a quorum. Session is suspended to await the arrival of the speaker.
Session resumed. Majority Leader.
Our esteemed colleagues, the Honorable Speaker, Ferdinand Martin G. Romualdez, will address the body.
Thank you. Please take your seats. Welcome back. Esteemed Deputy Speakers, Honorable Majority Leader, Minority Leader, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, and welcome to the resumption of our regular session. I am pleased to see all of you back here in the halls of Congress, united and ready to serve our nation with renewed purpose and unbreakable resolve. First and foremost, in accordance with Proclamation number 728 issued by President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr., declaring November 4th, 2024, as a day of national mourning, we come together as a nation to honor the more than 100 lives lost in the wake of severe Storm Christine. We mourn with their families, loved ones, and communities who bear the weight of this tragic loss. And we share in this moment of profound grief. Let us find the strength in our unity and offer comfort and support to those who have lost so much. May our heartfelt prayers and unwavering solidarity serve as a source of hope and healing in this time of immense sorrow. I extend my heartfelt gratitude and congratulations to each and every one of you in the face of Typhoon Christine, a calamity that swept through communities, destroyed homes, and disrupted lives. Many of you did not hesitate to set aside what should have been a period of rest. You mobilized, responded, and reached out to those in need, showing our countrymen what it truly means to serve. Our recent break, intended for restoration and recuperation, became a period of relentless work. Despite the demands and sacrifices it entailed, you showed unwavering dedication. You prioritized the welfare of our people, balancing legislative responsibilities with relief efforts that spanned our nation. I commend each of you for this selfless commitment to our mission and to the people we serve. You are a credit to this institution, and I am immensely proud to stand with you today. Maraming salamat sa maagap ninyong pagkilos. Saludo po ako sa malasakit na ipinakita ninyo sa ating mga kababayan. As we reconvene for another legislative cycle of lawmaking, a task we have committed to undertake with urgency and passion, we are once again expected to provide effective solutions to the most challenging and complex problems facing our nation. Given this immense responsibility, we must embody analytical thinking, practical sensibility, and fervent enthusiasm to carry out our roles as lawmakers. Our track record speaks for itself, and with confidence I can say that the 19th Congress has consistently delivered successful results and exceeded expectations. As we approach the end of this remarkable term, we have demonstrated to the nation that no goals are not achievable and no aspirations are unattainable as long as we work cohesively and stand united. While Congress was in recess, President Marcos Jr. signed several laws identified as top priority measures by the Legislative Executive Development Advisory Council, the LEDAC. With the passage of RA number 12022, or the Anti-Agriculture Economic Sabotage Act, we are taking significant steps to protect our farmers from unscrupulous traders who exploit agricultural smuggling, profiteering, and hoarding. This new law will make food more affordable and accessible and provide better income for local farmers. Republic Act 12028, the Academic Recovery and Accessible Learning Adult Program Act, focuses on enhancing students' competencies in essential learning areas to ensure the quality of their education. We also welcome the signing of RA 12024, the Self-Reliant Defense Posture Revitalization Act, which aims to strengthen the country's defense sector by boosting domestic production of defense equipment. This law will address short, medium, and long-term needs for the defense equipment in the country. To ensure fair tax compliance, the passage of RA 12023, the Value-Added Tax on Digital Services Law, establishes a level playing field for both local businesses and international digital service providers in the digital economy. As we diligently work towards the conclusion of the 19th Congress, the House of Representatives has been instrumental in the enactment of 24 laws identified as priority measures under the Ladakh's Common Legislative Agenda for the 19th Congress. For the 28 House Representative priority measures targeted for passage by the end of the 19th Congress, only 2 remain pending with the committee amendments to the Agrarian Reform Law and the Foreign Investors Long-Term Lease Act. 26 measures have either been enacted into law or approved on third reading. As of October 31, 2024, 61 national laws and 62 local laws were enacted. 19 measures await the President's action, 5 conference committee reports were ratified, and 765 House bills, both national and local, were approved on third reading and are now pending Senate action. Our legislative agenda in the coming days will build upon the targets identified during our last session. We await the signing by the President of Ladakh priority bills for the 19th Congress, including the Create More Act, Philippine Maritime Zones Act, Enterprise-Based Education and Training, the EBIT Act, and the Philippine Archipelagic Sea Lanes Act. As the head of the Philippine delegation to the recent 149th Interparliamentary Union Assembly in Geneva, Switzerland, from October 12 to 18, 2024, we highlighted the crucial role of science, technology, and innovation in achieving sustainable development goals and fostering future peace. These are the primary drivers of transformation toward a prosperous, inclusive, and environmentally sustainable economy. The world is undergoing a digital revolution, and to maximize its benefits while mitigating its challenges, we must equip our nation with a comprehensive legislative arsenal. During the Association of the Southeast Asian Nations ASEAN Business Investment Summit held in Vientiane, Lao People's Democratic Republic, from October 6 to the 11th, 2024, we fully supported President Marcos Jr.'s assertion that the Philippines is an optimal investment destination. We commend President Marcos Jr. and his administration for their approach to reducing poverty and addressing food insecurity, leading to a notable reduction in self-rated hunger. The government reforms and programs are now yielding positive results. According to the August 28 to September 2, 2024 Tugon ng Masa survey published by Okta Research, self-rated poverty dropped by 5 percentage points, with an estimated 1.4 million Filipinos now considering themselves not poor. Self-rated hunger also declined from 16% to 11%, meaning approximately 1.4 million families no longer experience hunger. It is also noteworthy that while we have achieved stability and maintained peace and order without compromising due process or the fundamental human rights of any Filipino, there has been a significant reduction in crime across various categories. According to the Philippine National Police, from July 2022 to July 2024, there was a 61.87% decline in index crimes compared to the same period from 2016 to 2018, with 83,059 incidents recorded against 217,830 in the earlier period. The PNP also seized illegal drugs worth 35.6 billion pesos and arrested 122,309 individuals involved in drug-related offenses. Sustaining our economic recovery requires collaboration between the private sector, government, and academia. We must ensure that the Marcos administration's vision of a more equitable and prosperous Philippines becomes a reality. Through consistent efforts, we can further reduce poverty and provide more opportunities for our people to thrive. On the last day of our session in September, the House adopted House Resolution 2036, allowing 5 committees to conduct a joint inquiry and propose legislation to counteract massive smuggling and price manipulation of essential goods. This Quinta Committee, comprising the committees of Ways and Means, Trade and Industry, Agriculture and Food, Social Services, the Special Committee on Food Security, aims to mitigate hunger and ensure food security. Despite our efforts, many Filipinos still face food insecurity. And according to the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, the Philippines ranks first in food insecurity in Southeast Asia, with around 51 million Filipinos experiencing moderate to severe food insecurity. This highlights the urgent need for comprehensive action. This year, our nation has endured the impacts of both El Nino and extensive flooding, causing severe damage to the agricultural sector and affecting countless livelihoods. In response and under the President's directive, the 2025 national government budget will prioritize a strategic shift from traditional flood control to comprehensive water management initiatives, including water impounding systems to harvest rainwater, mitigate flooding, and ensure water availability during the dry season. These projects aim to create a more resilient and sustainable future for our communities. Additionally, in empathy with the plight of our less privileged countrymen, we introduced amendments to the 2025 General Appropriations Bill, earmarking 293.23 billion to enhance social services, strengthen social safety nets, and ensure food security. This is in addition to the 591.8 billion allocated by the Department of Budget and Management for cash assistance to indigent families. The enhanced budget will support programs such as assistance to individuals in crisis situations, AICS, the Ayuda sa Kapos ang Kita Program, AKAP, the Sustainable Livelihood Program, Tulong Panghanapbuhay sa ating mga disadvantaged displaced workers, TUPAD, the Government Internship Program, Tertiary Education Subsidy, and Tulong Dunong programs, among others. To address the continuing issue of safe and accessible shelters during calamities, the House of Representatives filed and deliberated on House Bill number 7354. Subsequently, in September, we adopted Senate Bill number 2451, or the Ligtas Pinoy Centers Act, as an amendment to the House bill, and we await the enrolled copy from the Senate for signing. This legislative measure is essential for protecting communities during disasters by establishing and maintaining safe, fully equipped, and permanent evacuation centers in every city and municipality. In continued support of the Marcos administration's initiatives, the House of Representatives has adeptly navigated its way towards fulfilling its goals. Beyond crafting laws and in our quest to provide effective legislation, we established the House Quad Committee to conduct joint public hearings on critical issues, including extrajudicial killings, illegal drugs, Philippine offshore gaming operators, POGOs, alleged irregularities in the procurement processes and unlawful contracts, as well as the illegal tactics employed by foreign nationals in our country. I would like to highlight the monumental work of the Quad Committee, a collective effort led by some of the brightest and most dedicated members of this House, including the young guns and others who have dedicated their time, energy, and conviction to this cause. The Quad Committee represents not just a legislative effort, but embodies our shared commitment to truth, justice, and accountability through their outstanding ability to elicit truth from even the most reticent witnesses and sources, combined with significant information gathered from confidential channels. The Quad Committee members have demonstrated a burning resolve to identify and remedy deficiencies in our laws. The Quad Committee's hearings have heightened public awareness, fostering a deepened commitment to transparency and accountability. We welcome the recent submission of pertinent documents and a partial report to the Office of the Solicitor General to investigate Chinese nationals who have fraudulently obtained Philippine citizenship to illegally acquire land and operate businesses in the Philippines. The report recommends the initiating of civil forfeiture proceedings against these individuals. In response to the Quad Committee's findings on extrajudicial killings allegedly committed by the state authorities during the previous administration's war on drugs and the involvement of illegal POGO operations in human trafficking and money laundering, our Quad Committee leaders have filed House Bill number 10986 for the Anti-Extrajudicial Killing Act and House Bill 10987 or the Anti-Offshore Gaming Operations Act. The Anti-Extrajudicial Killing Act explicitly classifies extrajudicial killing as a heinous crime, ensuring that anyone, regardless of rank or position, found guilty of such acts faces appropriate criminal penalties. The Anti-Offshore Gaming Operations Act, on the other hand, aims for a total ban on all forms of offshore gaming operations in the country with penalties for violations. These legislative measures address long-standing issues that have been condoned or even encouraged by certain individuals, and they will lead to legal actions against those involved. But let us not be naive to the reality we face. Those who seek to hide the truth will always resist, and our efforts are not immune to attack. The Quad Committee and our young guns have become the target of those who prefer the shadows over the light. They attempt to undermine our work, casting aspersions and spreading false narratives to discredit our pursuit of accountability. Yet, as we stand here today, we reaffirm our commitment to this duty. We are here to do the work without fear or favor, on a mission to uncover the truth. No matter how uncomfortable it may be for some, we understand that this journey will not be easy, and that standing for what is right often means standing against the tide. But history has shown us time and again that no force can stand against the truth for long. Evil may cloak itself in power, influence, and wealth, but in the end, it is goodness that triumphs. Truth, though sometimes slow to reveal itself, will always, without fail, prevail. Sa mga nagtatangka, napigilan tayo sa paghanap ng katotohanan at katarungan, isa lamang ang sasabihin ko sa inyo, hindi kayo magtatagumpay sa masamang hangarin ninyo. In this house of the people, we are on the right side of history. And make no mistake, no matter the challenges, no matter the opposition, we will stand our ground. We will not yield to intimidation or pressure. We will not be swayed by the attacks hurled against us. Instead, we will press on with even greater resolve, knowing that people are behind us, that history will remember our courage, and that our efforts are guided by the principles of justice and integrity. Dahil unti-unti na nating nakikita ang liwanag at katotohanan, asahan natin na lalo pang titindi ang pag-atake sa ating institusyon, subalit hindi tayo matitinag. Hindi tayo papayag na muling bumalik ang panahon ng kadiliman at kasamaan. To those who may question our motives, I say this. We are here for the people, we are here for the truth, and for the enduring ideals of this republic. Our work transcends personal ambition. It is about laying the foundation for a nation that is free, just, and governed by the rule of law. We are building a legacy that our children and grandchildren can look back on with pride. This fight for truth is not for the faint-hearted. It demands courage, perseverance, and unity. We must remember that the road to justice is often fraught with trials. The forces of darkness will not relent easily. They will use every means at their disposal to obscure the truth, sow doubt, and weaken our resolve. But as long as we hold fast to our principles and remain united in this purpose, we will prevail. As we resume our session, let us move forward with the spirit of resilience and dedication that has defined this House, especially during our recent response to the typhoon. Let us advance with a sense of duty, a commitment to service and dedication. The people who have entrusted us with their hopes and aspirations. Today, as we stand on the right side of history, not just as witnesses, but as architects of change, the people are watching. History is watching. Let us not falter, for we hold the power to shape the destiny of our nation. Ladies and gentlemen of this chamber, we recognize that the House of Representatives cannot address every national issue alone. The Filipino people understand this as well. Nonetheless, as your humble steward, I urge each of you to make the most of our limited time before the 19th Congress adjourns and pass the most critical and urgent legislation. We were given this opportunity to serve the people with purpose, to uphold the principles of democracy, promote sustainable development, and as I emphasized in my closing statement last September, to build a Philippines where every citizen can live with dignity, opportunity, and hope. Esteemed colleagues, I call on you to cherish these remaining months of the 19th Congress, and together, let us bring it to a triumphant close. Maraming salamat, and may we move forward with courage, dignity, and unwavering faith in the triumph of truth above all. Mabuhay ang Pilipinas at mabuhay po tayong lahat. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move to suspend session for a few minutes.
Session suspended.
Session resumes. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we defer with the reading of the journal of the previous session.
Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The motion is approved and approval of the journal of the previous session is hereby deferred. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we now proceed with the reference of business and request the Secretary General to read the title of the bills and resolutions on first reading as well as communications and committee reports.
Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The Secretary General is directed to read the titles of bills and resolutions on first reading as well as messages, communications, and committee reports for referral to the appropriate committees.
Reference of business, bills on first reading. House Bill 10971, establishing a national green building code and rating system by Representative Gintu.
To the Committee on Ecology.
House Bill 10972, changing the name of Oras National High School in Oras, Eastern Samar into Federico O. Mingote National Memorial High School by Representative Lebanon.
To the Committee on Basic Education and Culture.
House Bill 10973, providing for the sufficiency of a single form of identification for all public and private transactions by Representative Garcia Pablo John.
To the Special Committee on Persons with Disabilities.
House Bill 10974, creating a barangay in the city of San Pedro, Laguna, to be known as Barangay San Isidro by Representative Matibag.
To the Committee on Local Government.
House Bill 10975, upgrading the Dr. Tomas Nolasco Sr. Memorial in Gataran, Cagayan, into a Level 2 General Hospital to be known as Dr. Tomas Nolasco Sr. General Hospital by Representative Nolasco.
To the Committee on Health.
House Bill 10976, mandating the availability of anti-venom vaccines in all hospitals by Representative Cari.
To the Committee on Health.
House Bill 10977, providing for sustainable value chain financing for smallholder agricultural production by Representative Garcia Pablo John.
To the Committee on Agriculture and Food.
House Bill 10978, expanding the purpose and application of the Special Education Fund by Representative Angara.
To the Committee on Local Government.
House Bill 10979, providing for an automatic adjustment mechanism in the teaching allowance granted to public school teachers, amending Section 4 of Kabalikat sa Pagtuturo Act, by Representative Gintu.
to the Committee on Basic Education and Culture,
House Bill 10980, institutionalizing the community-driven development approach as a national strategy for inclusive growth and social protection, by Representative Santos.
to the Committee on Poverty Alleviation,
House Bill 10981, granting maternity benefit to women workers in the informal economy, by Representative Santos.
to the Committee on Labor and Employment,
House Bill 10982, requiring the disclosure of nutritional information in menus of food service establishments, by Representative Santos.
to the Committee on Health,
House Bill 10983, amending Article 117 of the Revised Penal Code, by Representative Rodriguez Rufus.
to the Committee on Revision of Laws,
House Bill 10984, granting Philippine citizenship to Ethan Kwan, by Representative Robes.
to the Committee on Justice,
House Bill 10986, an act classifying and penalizing extrajudicial killing as a heinous crime, providing reparation for the victims and strengthening the mechanism for its prevention, by Representatives Gonzales Aurelio, Suarez, Barbers, Abante, Fernandez, Paduano, Acop, Pimentel, Luistro, Gutierrez, Ortega, Conghun, and Flores.
to the Committee on Justice,
House Bill 10987, an act prohibiting all forms of offshore gaming operations in the country and providing penalties for violation thereof, by Representatives Gonzales Aurelio, Suarez, Barbers, Fernandez, Abante, Paduano, Acop, Pimentel, Luistro, Gutierrez, Ortega, Conghun, and Flores.
to the Committee on Games and Amusements,
House Bill 10988, expanding the coverage of espionage, by Representative Rodriguez Rufus.
to the Committee on National Defense and Security,
House Bill 10989, granting income tax exemption to senior citizens who are gainfully employed, by Representative Fernandez.
to the Committee on Senior Citizens,
House Bill 10990, institutionalizing the provision of a health maintenance organization system for public school teachers, by Representative
to
Yamsuan.
the Committee on Basic Education and Culture,
House Bill 10991, establishing a district office of the LTO in Caragad, Davao Oriental, by Representative Dayang Hirang.
to the Committee on Transportation,
Resolutions. House Resolution 2032, requesting an investigation into alleged violations of the new Government Procurement Act, purportedly for the purpose of rigging the public bidding for the procurement of food packs for the constituents of San Pedro City, Laguna, by Representative Matibag.
to the Committee on Rules,
House Resolution 2033, recognizing and commending the 2024 outstanding government workers for their demonstration of exemplary public service, by Representative Olivares.
to the Committee on Civil Service and Professional Regulation,
House Resolution 2034, recognizing and commending officers and crew of the Philippine Coast Guard on board BRP Teresa Magbanwa for their commitment and dedication to protect the sovereign rights of the Philippines over the West Philippine Sea, by Representative Ataide.
to the Committee on Rules,
House Resolution 2035, directing the appropriate House committee to conduct an inquiry on the implementation of the Philippine Identification System Act, by Representative Ataide.
to the Committee on Rules,
House Resolution 2042, congratulating Filipino-American director and choreographer Carla Puno Garcia for winning the Television Academy's 76th Creative Arts Emmy Awards, by Representatives De Venecia, Conghun, Del Mar, Barba, Rodriguez Rufus, Maceda, Veloso Tuazon, Horibata, Singson Mihan, Bolilia, Villarica, Singson Rochelle, Go Mark, Aumentado, Robes, Vergara, Alonte, and Garcia Maria Angela.
to the Committee on Creative Industries,
House Resolution 2043, strongly supporting the adoption of the Universal Declaration of Human Duties for Leaders, by Representative Asidre.
to the Committee on Human Rights,
House Resolution 2045, congratulating and commending Filipino speed skater Kirsten Lane Sac Fernandez for winning 3 gold medals in the Southeast Asian Sport Open Short Track Speed Skating held in September 28 to 29 at the SM Mall of Asia, by Representative Plato.
to the Committee on Youth and Sports Development,
House Resolution 2046, expressing our heartfelt congratulations to Bishop Pablo Virgilio Ambo S. David and the Philippine Roman Catholic Church on his appointment as the 10th Filipino Cardinal, by Representative Lee.
to the Committee on Rules,
House Resolution 2047, congratulating and commending D. Vana Espiritu Galakgak for placing first in the August 2024 Food Technologist Licensure Examination and for bringing honor and pride to the province of Ilocos Norte, by Representative Barba.
to the Committee on Civil Service and Professional Regulation,
House Resolution 2048, congratulating and commending the Philippine kickboxing team for winning 5 gold medals, 1 silver medal, and 10 bronze medals in the recently concluded Asian Kickboxing Championship held in Phnom Penh, Cambodia on October 8 to 13, 2024 by Representative Plato.
To the Committee on Youth and Sports Development.
Messages from the Senate. Message dated September 23, 2024, informing the House of Representatives that on even date, the Senate approved the Conference Committee report on the disagreeing provisions of Senate Bill 2514 and House Bill 8468 on the proposed Philippine National Games Act.
To the Committee on Rules.
Message dated September 25, 2024, informing the House that on September 24, 2024, the Senate adopted Senate Concurrent Resolution 23, including the 10 enlisted men's barrios barangays in the 2 legislative districts of the City of Taguig and Municipality of Pateros in order not to disenfranchise the registered voters therein, and confirming the increase to 12 of the number of councilors in each consular district of the City of Taguig for purposes of fair and equitable representation, in which it requests the concurrence of the House of Representatives.
To the Committee on Rules.
Message dated September 26, 2024, informing the House that on September 25, 2024, the Senate designated Senators Villanueva, Zubiri, Binay, Gatchalian, and Ontiveros as conferees to the Conference Committee on the disagreeing provisions of Senate Bill 2568 and House Bill 9015 on institutionalizing the expanded tertiary education equivalency and accreditation program.
To the Committee on Higher and Technical Education.
Message dated September 26, 2024, informing the House that on September 25, 2024, the Senate approved the Conference Committee report on the disagreeing provisions of Senate Bill 2779 and House Bill 10381 on amending the Agricultural Tarification Act.
To the Committee on Rules.
Communications, letter dated September 2, 2024, of the Tariff Commission Chairperson, providing the House of Representatives with copies of their 2021, 2022, and 2023 annual reports.
To the Committee on Ways and Means.
Memorandum dated September 4, 2024 of the PIDEA Director General, submitting to the Office of the President, copy furnished the House, a copy of their operational accomplishment and assessment report for July 2024.
To the Committee on Dangerous Drugs.
Letters dated September 4, 2024 of the COA Audit Team Leaders, Teams R9-03 and R9-02, Regional Office 9, transmitting to the House copies of their annual audit reports on the Pagadian Water District and Siocon Water District for the year ending December 31st, 2023.
To the Committee on Public Accounts.
Letter dated September 5, 2024 with attached copy of a report generated through the Unified Reporting System of the DOST Advanced Science and Technology Institute Director, informing the House that they have submitted a copy of their monthly report of disbursements for the month of August 2024.
To the Committee on Appropriations.
Letter dated September 5, 2024 of the DOTR Undersecretary for Administration and Finance, submitting to the House copies of certain reports for the month of August 2024 and informing that the aforementioned reports were also submitted online to the DBM through the Unified Reporting System on September 5, 2024.
To the Committee on Appropriations.
Letter dated September 5, 2024 of the NEDA Executive Director, Philippine National Volunteer Service Coordinating Agency, providing the House with a copy of their 2023 annual report.
To the Committee on Economic Affairs.
Letter dated September 9, 2024 of the COA Chairperson, furnishing the House with a copy of their consolidated report on the audit of the Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Funds for the year ending December 31st, 2023.
To the Committee on Public Accounts.
Letter dated September 10, 2024 of the DPWH Secretary, informing the House that the DPWH budget and financial accountability reports for fiscal year 2024 have been submitted to the DBM and the COA, and scanned copies of these reports have also been uploaded on their website under the Transparency Seal page.
To the Committee on Appropriations.
Letter dated September 11, 2024 of the DTI Small Business Corporation, President and CEO, furnishing the House with a copy of their agency action plan and status of implementation on the audit observations and recommendations for calendar year 2023 and prior years.
To the Committee on Public Accounts.
Letter dated September 12, 2024 of the BSP officer in charge, submitting to the House a copy of their report on economic and financial developments in the Philippines for the second quarter of 2024.
To the Committee on Banks and Financial Intermediaries.
Letters dated September 19 and 23, 2024 of the Bank Officer 6, BSP Office of the General Counsel and Legal Services transmitting to the House duly certified copies of certain BSP issuances.
To the Committee on Banks and Financial Intermediaries.
Letters dated September 24 and 27 and October 2 and 8, 2024 of the Executive Secretary, Office of the President, transmitting 2 original copies of each of the following Republic Acts which were signed by the President. Republic Act Number 12021, providing for the Magna Carta of Filipino Seafarers. Republic Act Number 12022, Anti-Agricultural Economic Sabotage Act. Republic Act Number 12023, imposing VAT on digital transactions in the Philippines. And Republic Act Number 12024, Self-Reliant Defense Posture Revitalization Act.
To the Archives.
Reports dated September 25, 30, October 8, and October 9 of the Secretary General of the House of Representatives on enrolled copies of several House bills which were transmitted on certain dates to the Office of the President for His Excellency's consideration and signature pursuant to Section 18H, Rule 6 of the Rules of the House. Report dated October 8, 2024 of the Secretary General of the House of Representatives on enrolled copies of the consolidated versions of Senate Bill Number 2587 and House Bill Numbers 7400 and 6523 on the proposed Enterprise-Based Education and Training Framework Act, and of Senate Bill 2C65 and House Bill 9034, the proposed Philippine Archipelagic Sea Lanes Act, which were returned to the Senate on October 7, 2024, and to be transmitted to the Office of the President for His Excellency's consideration and signature pursuant to Section 18H, Rule 6 of the Rules of the House. Report dated October 9, 2024 of the House of Representatives Secretary General on enrolled copies of the consolidated version of Senate Bill 2762 and House Bill 9794, Create More, which were returned to the Senate on October 8, 2024, and to be transmitted to the Office of the President for His Excellency's consideration and signature pursuant to Section 18H, Rule 6 of the Rules of the House. Committee reports. Committee report numbers 1236, 1237, 1238, 1239, 1240, and 1241 submitted by the Special Committee on Creative Industries on House Resolution numbers 2037, 2038, 2039, 2040, 2041, and 2044 respectively. Committee report 1242 submitted by the Committees on Senior Citizens and Ways and Means on House Bill number 10985.
The aforementioned committee reports are all referred to the Committee on Rules. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, today being a Monday and pursuant to our rules, I move that we open the privilege hour.
Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The chair declares a privilege hour. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we recognize the Honorable Gabriel H. Bordado Jr. of the 3rd District of Camarines Sur to avail of the privilege hour.
The gentleman from the 3rd District of Camarines Sur, the Honorable Gabriel H. Bordado Jr., is recognized to avail of the privilege hour.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I stand before you today to convey the heartfelt gratitude of the Bicolanos, particularly those living in Camarines Sur, in the wake of the devastation wrought by severe tropical storm Christine. This storm, the 11th of the year, has left a trail of destruction across Luzon, Visayas, and parts of Mindanao. Our people are enduring the worst destruction we have seen in over 3 decades. In times of crisis, unity and swift action are our strongest defenses. And I would like to express my deepest appreciation to President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. and Speaker Martin Romualdez for their immediate response to the plight of our people. Their quick mobilization of resources is a crucial support to our battered communities, and their commitment to addressing the urgent needs of Bicolanos is a reminder that we stand together in the face of adversity. I commend Department of Social Welfare and Development Secretary Rex Gatchalian, who has worked tirelessly and without delay to ensure aid would reach our communities. His swift action alongside DSWD teams on the ground has been instrumental in providing immediate relief and hope to thousands who are struggling in the storm's aftermath. I also wish to thank Representative Rufus Rodriguez, Representative Maria Cynthia Cindy King Chan, Representative Jack Duabet, and Representative Jefferson J. Kungun for immediately responding to our call for help. In addition to government response, I would like to acknowledge the invaluable contributions of the private sector. In particular, the Angat Buhay movement, led by former Vice President Leni Robredo, has been quietly working to aid Camarines Sur residents. The Angat Buhay movement's silent yet steady work, mobilizing resources, coordinating volunteer efforts, and providing essential supplies has been a lifeline for many families in the region. Their assistance reflects a deep commitment to community service and shows how collective action, rooted in compassion, can make a difference even in the direst of times. Despite these commendable efforts, the scale of destruction is overwhelming. As of October 30, the death toll has reached 145 nationwide, with 115 injured and 37 missing. I therefore thank President Marcos for declaring today, November 4, 2024, as a day of mourning for severe tropical storm Christine victims. In Bicol, our agricultural sector has been particularly hard hit, sustaining over 2 billion pesos in losses. Camarines Sur alone accounts for 1.1 billion pesos of this loss, a heavy blow to our farmers and fisherfolk who depend on their harvest for survival. The storm has also left over 5,000 classrooms damaged, disrupting the education of countless students. Major infrastructure, including ports and critical roadways, has been destroyed or rendered impassable, severely hampering relief efforts and daily life. In the light of this devastation, I appeal to my esteemed colleagues here in Congress to take decisive action to help Bicol rise once again. We must work together to mobilize additional resources, allocate emergency funds, and initiate long-term recovery programs. This support is essential for rebuilding infrastructure, restoring livelihoods, and ensuring that the affected families and communities can heal and rebuild. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, esteemed colleagues, for standing with us in this time of calamity. May our collective efforts serve as a beacon of hope and solidarity for the people of Bicol and for all Filipinos who rise with courage in the face of hardship.
Majority Floor Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we refer the speech of the Honorable Bordado to the Committee on Rules for proper action.
If there are any objection, the chair hears none. The privileged speech of the Honorable Bordado is referred to the Committee on Rules. Majority Floor Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we recognize the Honorable Lordan G. Suwan of the 1st District of Cagayan de Oro City to avail of the privileged hour.
The gentleman from the 1st District of Cagayan de Oro City, the Honorable Lordan Suwan, is recognized to avail of the privilege hour.
Mr. Speaker, distinguished members of the House of Representatives, ladies and gentlemen, I rise today as a matter of personal and collective privilege. The right of suffrage is one of the pillars of our democratic and republican state. It is the exercise of the people's sovereign will to govern and be governed by their chosen representatives. We vigilantly guard this process of exercising and determining the sovereign will of the people because the Constitution states that sovereignty resides in the people and all government authority emanates from them. Therefore, it is always imperative for a democratic country such as ours to have transparent, fair, honest, and credible elections. The first and one of the most critical steps in the exercise of the right of suffrage is the registration of voters. We have passed laws to ensure that eligible and qualified voters are not disenfranchised. We guarantee that we always conduct continuing registrations to preserve the right of suffrage of those who reached qualified age and those who moved domiciles. We implemented the biometric system to create a clean and updated voter list. We even made it convenient for our people to register through our Register Anywhere program. We bring registration centers to malls, schools, and other public venues. This is to make sure that our citizens, not otherwise disqualified by law, can exercise their right of suffrage. Yet evil does not sleep. The old and evil way rides with a change of times. Mr. Speaker, my fellow representatives, it has been reported that an anomalous influx of new voters is being detected in several barangays, municipalities, cities, and provinces throughout the country. No less than the Commission on Elections revealed the highly irregular surge of new voters in areas such as Batangas, Makati, Nueva Ecija, and Cagayan de Oro, to name a few. A 5% increase in new voters is normal, but a 10% or 20% increase is a red flag. It is even scandalous to see a 40% increase in the voting population, and there was a report of a 54% increase in voter registration in just one barangay. These increases defy normal statistical patterns. In the words of our COMELEC Chairman Garcia, is there a gold rush going on in these areas? Normally, the increase in voting population is mainly brought about by the following factors: migration of people due to increased development and economic activities, and a higher percentage of children or youth transitioning into adulthood. It has been observed that the barangays, municipalities, cities, and provinces with an unusual increase of voters registered no significant surge of economic, business, and employment opportunities. Their children or youth population is not big enough to remarkably increase the voting population beyond normal. On the other hand, an abnormal increase in the voting population is primarily due to unscrupulous individuals enticing voters to transfer registration with a promise of money, employment, assistance, or other services in exchange for a favorable vote for a particular politician. There is nothing new with this scheme. In traditional political maneuverings, we call them flying voters. Today, these flying voters have landed en masse and registered as new voters, but they will never establish domicile in that area. As proof, almost 40 newly registered voters shared a single address. We also found out, as did the COMELEC, that flying voters were able to register successfully because of the anomalous issuance of residence certificates in barangays. Our people's desire to change residences and register as new voters for reasons of opportunity, comfort, and convenience has become a convenient excuse for politicians to justify such actions, even though they are contrary to social and economic assessments. Even then, it is one thing to change residence, and it is another thing to register as a voter in your new location. Article 5, Section 1 of the Constitution sets the qualifications for the exercise of the right of suffrage. It says, suffrage may be exercised by all citizens of the Philippines not otherwise disqualified by law, who are at least 18 years of age, and who shall have resided in the Philippines for at least 1 year, and in the place wherein they propose to vote for at least 6 months immediately preceding the election. No literacy, property, or other substantive requirement shall be imposed on the exercise of suffrage. The pretext of transferring residence for personal desire has become a cover for unscrupulous individuals and politicians seeking political advantage. This illegal practice must be condemned and stopped. It undermines the integrity of our electoral system. It deprives Filipinos of a legitimate representative and leader. It destroys the foundation of our republic. It subverts our democratic system by denying our people their true sovereign will. Mr. Speaker, I humbly urge this august chamber to conduct an investigation in aid of legislation on the anomalous increase of new voters in some barangays, municipalities, cities, and provinces. This investigation will uncover the scheme of transferring new voters to areas for political gain and expose individuals who orchestrated such illegal acts. Importantly, Mr. Speaker, it will help us identify the flaws in our existing election laws and allow us to craft new ones to protect the exercise of our people's sovereign will. I leave you with a quote from the ruling of the Supreme Court in People versus San Juan. It states that for the sovereign will of the citizen to remain undefiled at the starting level of its expression and application, every assumption must be indulged in and every guarantee adopted to assure the unmolested exercise of the citizen's free choice, or to impede, without authority valid in law, the free and orderly exercise of the right of suffrage is to inflict the ultimate indignity on the democratic process. Thank you.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we refer the speech of the Honorable Suwan to the Committee on Rules for its appropriate action.
Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The privileged speech of the Honorable Lordan Suwan is referred to the Committee on Rules. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I now move that we recognize the Honorable Representative Edgar M. Chato of the 1st District of Bohol to avail of the privilege hour.
The gentleman from the 1st District of Bohol, the Honorable Edgar M. Chato, is recognized to avail of the privilege hour.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Our dear colleagues, 128 years ago, on this day, the 4th of November, the tranquil province of Bohol was graced by the birth of a person whose life has inspired many Filipinos, whose leadership has given tribute to Dagohoy's memory and whose legacy has forever placed Bohol in the books of our country's political history. Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, I stand before you today proud and at the same time humbled to share the same heritage with the Philippines' 8th President and Bohol's most illustrious son, President Carlos P. Garcia, born on November 4, 1896, in the municipality of Talibon. Each year, Boholanos celebrate the birth of this man by virtue of Republic Act 7448 as a special non-working holiday. November 4 is both a day of celebration and a day of reflection. Indeed, the life and legacy of President Garcia befits the honors given to him each year along the initiatives that inspire the new generation to live by his ideals and examples. Specifically for today, there were two prominent events that marked this year's celebration. Both happened early this morning. First, the National Museum of the Philippines made its historic opening of the President Carlos P. Garcia Gallery in its museum in Bohol. And second, the provincial government unveiled the marker of the newly renamed President Carlos P. Garcia Circumferential Road. As a precursor of these events, Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, last June 15, 2024, the Garcia family turned over donated memorabilia of President Garcia to the National Museum in a ceremony held at the Spoliarium Hall of the National Museum of Fine Arts in the city of Manila. This was done by Jose Carlos Campos Garcia Campos, Carla Garcia Campos, and Dr. Isabel Zui Campos Bustos. They are the grandchildren of the late President Garcia and wife Leonila, and children of Linda Garcia and former Department of National Defense Undersecretary Fernando Nanding Campos. This representation was honored to have been invited as guest speaker during the momentous turnover ceremony of these families' heirloom in the country. In the said event, the Garcia family signed a deed of donation to the National Library of the Philippines for the safekeeping of presidential papers, written reports, poetry, speeches, press releases, financial and legal documents, and photographs of President Carlos P. Garcia. As a gesture of gratitude, this representation in turn handed over to the Garcia family a copy of Republic Act 11987, the law renaming the Bohol Island Circumferential Road to President Carlos P. Garcia Circumferential Road. Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, I am honored to have principally authored this legislative measure, which was signed by His Excellency President Ferdinand Bongbong R. Marcos on March 21, 2024. In a separate letter signed by Jose Carlos Campos, addressed to then Senate President Juan Miguel Zubiri and Speaker Ferdinand Martin G. Romualdez, the Garcia family said, "We are happy and honored that the road encircling the whole island of Bohol, home of the late President, and our great-grandfather, is named after him. It is like him eternally embracing his beloved Bohol, which he loves so much." Allow me, Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, to take this moment to thank this august chamber for the passage of this simple yet nostalgic bill, as well as His Excellency President for his approval of the same. Campos recalls of his grandfather's great love of Bohol, the place that gave him birth, life, and call home. He said, "While to some it may only be a road, but to us, his family, it is more than a fitting tribute to and lasting legacy of the Republic's 8th President to his home province. To us, it is a personal remembrance and a perpetuation of the memories of a father and a grandfather." With today's unveiling of the monumental marker of the newly renamed President Carlos P. Garcia Circumferential Road in Bohol, we have also requested the Department of Public Works and Highways to put appropriate street markers along this long road as well as in all other road sections in various parts of the country named in his honor. As to other initiatives, Bohol continues to preserve President Garcia's advocacy through the CPG Scholarship Program, which began in 1996 through Provincial Ordinance Number 8 Series of 1996, which I authored as then Vice Governor of the province. In the same year, Republic Act 8224 was signed into law. This renamed the circumferential route number 5 or C5 in Metro Manila as the President Carlos P. Garcia Avenue to immortalize his memory as Congressman, Senator, Foreign Affairs Secretary, Vice President, and President. The Garcia Monument in Taguig was then inaugurated with the Bohol Association of Metro Manila Incorporated in collaboration with the Metro Manila Development Authority. We also have the CPJ Foundation, of which I served as president. As governor from 2010 to 2019, the provincial government opened Cafe Caloy under the Provincial Economic Enterprise Management Office and maintained the CPG Ancestral Home, earlier called Bohol Museum, with some memorabilia of CPG kept and well preserved. Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, each year we celebrate President CPG Day with numerous activities that pay tribute to his life work in hope of guiding young generations, inspire love for country and for Bohol and the Filipinos to work together towards a more prosperous and bright future. As a representative of the Boholanos, my prayer is that this day may be a celebration, not only for the whole province, but in the whole country as well, as we remember the President whose platform of government centered on the Filipino First policy. With the Philippines just recovering after the effects of World War II, President Garcia emphasized the following in his inaugural address in 1957 when he said, "The country now has the natural resources, the means, and the modern know-how to do it. We only lack the will to do it. Let us summon then from the spiritual reservoir of the nation and collectively will determine to make our country self-sufficient in foodstuffs, shelter, and clothing. Our freedom must be nourished from the wealth of our own soil and by the labor of our own manhood. This is the key policy of this administration in the field of economics. To this, I give my heart and hand." It was President Garcia who brought and implemented as an important governance principle the austerity program, which focused on wise spending, industry, thrift, trustworthiness, integrity, and honesty, as well on simple lifestyle for government officials. May this day also celebrate Filipino arts and culture, as President Garcia held the titles the Bard from Bohol and the Prince of Visayan Poetry for his eloquence and passion for the art, the Visayan poetry, or Balak. He initiated the Republic's Cultural Awards for exemplary Filipino artists, scientists, historians, and writers, and aimed at cultural revival, shaking off the influences of colonization and revival of the Filipino culture. Finally, Mr. Speaker, my dear colleagues, I end with the wisdom of President Carlos P. Garcia, which gave very, very significant impact for the present as well as the future leaderships, and encourage as well for the whole country. And I quote, "Together, we will meet our common problems and difficulties with a singleness of purpose. Together, we will overcome them." End of quote. It is indeed an honor to say before this august body, happy 128th birth anniversary of President Carlos P. Garcia, a man of art, a man of heart, a man of service. Thank you very much for your life, your leadership, and your legacy. Daghang salamat, maayong hapon. Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we refer the speech of the Honorable Chato to the Committee on Rules for its appropriate action.
Is there any objection? Chair hears none. The privileged speech of the Honorable Edgar Chato is referred to the Committee on Rules. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I now move that the gentleman from the Lone District of General Santos City, the Honorable Loreto Acharon, be recognized to avail of the privilege hour. So move, Mr. Speaker.
The gentleman from the Lone District of General Santos City, the Honorable Loreto Acharon, is recognized to avail of the privilege hour.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Majority Leader. Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, guests, ladies and gentlemen, a pleasant good afternoon to all. I stand before you today to share a story of heroism and selfless display of courage above and beyond the call of duty. Last September 11, 2024, a local businesswoman in General Santos City was killed by two male suspects in broad daylight for no apparent reason, an incident that immediately prompted the General Santos City Police Office to conduct an investigation with the support and collaboration of intelligence units from the Police Regional Office and the 6th Infantry Division of the Philippine Army, Armed Forces of the Philippines. On the same day, the composite team of investigators were able to identify two individuals, both verified hired killers and drug traffickers, as persons of interest, a development that would not have been possible without the invaluable help of eyewitnesses. An arresting team was thereafter constituted with haste and a follow-up operation conducted, given that the whereabouts and location of the suspects were confirmed by civilian police assets. Tasked to seek, apprehend, and secure the suspects, the team chose to arrive at Purok Masagana, Barangay Baluan, closer to dusk, to greatly reduce the chances of their discovery by taking advantage of the closing darkness. Unfortunately, upon arrival at the house where the suspects were in hiding, our law enforcers were fired upon and a gunfight ensued, resulting to 3 fatalities. Both suspects died, while the lone casualty from the government was Patrolman Benjamin Donton de Ponturum III, a rookie policeman who joined the Philippine National Police sometime in January 2020 and was assigned at the City Mobile Force Company. He sustained multiple bullet wounds and was declared dead upon arrival at the hospital. Eyewitness account and the testimonies of the other members of the apprehending team revealed that Patrolman de Ponturum conducted himself with utmost bravery and professionalism. That for this courageous act, the Philippine National Police conferred on him the Medalya ng Kadakilaan as per General Order No. 63, dated September 12, 2024. The following day, or on September 13, 2024, the family of Patrolman de Ponturum was honored by the presence of no less than then Secretary Benjamin C. Abalos Jr. of the Department of Interior and Local Government, who personally delivered the message of sympathies of a grateful nation. We have seen and heard similar displays of heroism from our men and women in the uniform, and the records of their exploits are immortalized within the Philippine National Police and Armed Forces of the Philippines. Our history as a nation is an arcade full of courageous Filipinos, and our history books have no shortage of tales how these great men and women used their God-given strength for our country's benefits and advantage, because even during the long period of struggle under foreign rule, we have learned that greatness knows no age, gender, nor ethnicity. Mr. Speaker, distinguished colleagues, I share the story of Patrolman de Ponturum with this august chamber because his legacy is nothing short of similar to the stories of our men and women in uniform, who offered their lives and limbs in the service of our nation during the colonial occupation of Spain, the United States of America, World War II, and in the contemporary times from the Marawi Shades to the West Philippine Sea. This representation chose to honor him with the simple speech I am privileged to deliver in this chamber, so that his deed in service of the nation becomes part of the records of this great institution. As his voice in the House of Representatives I can do no less. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mabuhay ang ating masisipag at magigiting na hanay ng kapulisan at ang ating mga sundalo. Mabuhay po ang Pilipinas. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Majority Floor Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we refer the speech of the Honorable Representative Loreto B. Acharon to the Committee on Rules for its appropriate action.
Is there any objection? The Chair hears none. The privileged speech of the Honorable Acharon is referred to the Committee on Rules. Majority Floor Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I now move that we recognize the Honorable Representative Dan S. Fernandez of the Lone District of Santa Rosa City to avail of the privilege hour.
The distinguished gentleman from the Lone District of Santa Rosa City, Province of Laguna, the Honorable Dan Fernandez, is recognized to avail of the privilege hour.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, my dear colleagues. I rise on a matter of personal and collective privilege. Noong nakaraan pong mga araw, akin po nabasa sa pahayagan yung posibleng pagbabalik ng Meralco ng 16 billion refund sa ating mga consumers. Laking tuwa ang aking naramdaman nang makita ko ang title ng balita dahil aking inaakala na ito ay bahagi ng ating pinaglalaban na mahigit 100 bilyong refund na dapat ibalik ng Meralco sa mga consumers. Subalit laking gulat ko, Mr. Speaker, mga kasama dito sa Kamara at sa ating mga kababayan, dahil nung binasa ko na ang laman ng balita, ay ito pala ay hindi bahagi ng ating pinaglalaban na refund sa mga consumers, kundi bahagi ng isang anticipated lapse period para sa 5th regulatory period for the year 2022 to 2026. On October 30, 2024, Meralco announced it might refund up to 16 billion once the ERC settles its much delayed rate reset. At sinasabi din sa news na ating nabasa that suspended ERC Chairperson Mona Lisa de Malanta, and by the way, siya po ay nakabalik na. Maraming salamat sa ating pong Pangulo ng ating bansa at kay Secretary Bersamin dahil nakabalik na po si Mona Lisa sa ERC. That the ERC has already decided to forgo the 5th rate reset. Wala na raw 5th computation. Wala na raw po yung ating pong pagkukompute na naman. And fix the average distribution charge of Meralco to 1 peso and 35 cents kilowatt hour. What? Wala nang computation sa fourth regulatory period. Wala pa ding reset sa 5th regulatory period. Kung natatandaan nyo, Mr. Speaker, noong 2019, dito po sa mismong plenary natin, inimbitahan natin ang mga ERC commissioners, si Chairwoman Agnes de Banadera, nangako sila na i-compute yung pong 4th regulatory period. Sinasabi nila, meron ng bagong computation para sa bagong taripa ng mga ating mga kababayan dahil mababa na ang dapat na singil ng kuryente. Naganap ba? Hindi po. Niloloko lang tayo. Niloko lang tayo. At nung dumating po ang 19th Congress, inimbestigahan din po natin to sa budget hearing. Kinwestiyon natin ang ERC. Sinabi nila na magko-compute. Nasaan na ang computation sa bagong taripa para sa ating mga mamamayan? Ang ibig sabihin mga kababayan, mula 2016 hanggang 2026, di na sila magre-reset. O sa mas magandang lengguwahe, di na sila magko-compute at ipipix na uli nila sa 1 peso and 35 per kilowatt hour. Totoo ba to, ERC? Alam nyo, pigil na ako sa inyo. Lalo tigit sa 3 commissioner dyan sa ERC. Si Commissioner Alexis Lumbatan, si Marco Romeo Puentes, si Commissioner Florecinda Baldo Digal, mula noon hanggang ngayon, hindi kayo nagbago. Kayo ang mga salot ng ERC na dapat pagbayarin sa paghihirap ng ating mga kababayan dahil sa inyo, kaya ang ating singil sa kuryente ay hindi bumababa. Dahil sa inyo, patuloy ang pagsingil ng mataas at doble ng Meralco. Ang mga katulad ninyo ang dapat singilin ng kongresong ito, upang sa gano'y pagbayarin sa patuloy na pandaraya ninyo at sa inyong desisyong hayaan na lamang ang 2016 to 2026 ay i-consider na lapse period. Sadya kayong mapagsamantala. Di pa nga dumadating ang taong 2025 and 2026, sinabi nyo, lapse na agad. Bakit? Magkano ang dahilan? Malaki ba? Mr. Speaker, ang ganitong kapabayaan ng ating mga commissioners ng ERC ay hindi mapapahintulutan ng representanteng ito. They need to answer back to the Filipino people. Ang kanilang mga aksyon na nagbigay ng perwisyo sa ating mga kababayan sa mahabang panahon must be confronted by this Congress. Nais ko sana i-detalye sa inyo ang mga bagay na may kinalaman sa overcollection sa atin ng Meralco. In connivance with selected commissioners of ERC na umabot na sa lampas 100 bilyon dahil sa double inflation na singil nila sa ating regulatory asset base and the weighted average cost of capital. Dalawang inflation. Ang sabi ng Supreme Court, hindi pwede. Ang sabi niya sa ERC, sa desisyon ng Supreme Court, give the consumers electricity in the least cost manner. Pero ang ginawa ng ERC, double inflation, double interest, doble ang kita. Sa isang simpleng eksplanasyon ay nais ko ilahat sa inyo kung paano tayo sinisingil ng Meralco kada kilowatt hour na ito ay kinocompute sa pamamagitan ng tinatawag na regulatory period. At ito po ay naaprubahan ng ERC upang malaman magkano ang sisingilin ng Meralco sa taong bayan na naaayon sa tamang komputasyon kada 4 na taon. Mula nang maaprubahan ang EPIRA Law na siyang pinagmula ng ERC na siyang gumawa ng polisiya ng taripa para singilin sa taong bayan, meron na po tayong 3 regulatory period. First, second, third regulatory periods. Dapat po ay nasa 5th regulatory period na po tayo. Pero dahil sila diyang di-compute ang 4th regulatory period at ang 5th regulatory period, upang sa ganon ay di mabago ang mataas sa singil ng Meralco, di ito magagawa ng Meralco alone. Kasabwat dito ang 3 kasalukuyang commissioners, dating commissioners at dating chairwoman ng ERC. Kaya we need to investigate these public officials. We need to find out the truth about this complex problem about reset process, about regulatory periods and other technical words in the computation of our tariff is really hard to understand. Mahirap po talagang intindihin. So allow me to explain and not to use any deep and technical words. Para simple lang po, mga kababayan and my dear colleagues. Mula noong 2012 hanggang 2024, ayaw nilang baguhin yung ating 1 peso and 35 cents per kilowatt hour. Diyan lang naglalaro ang binabayaran natin mula noong 2012 till now. Even the Supreme Court already declared and told ERC not to apply double inflation. Ibig sabihin, if double inflation, dalawa ang interest, dalawa ang kita. Sabi ng Supreme Court, wag. Dahil 1 peso and 35 ang sigil mula noon hanggang ngayon, umabot tayo ng lampas 100 bilyon ang dapat ibalik sa ating taong bayan. Isipin nyo na lang, mula noon hanggang ngayon, piso at 35 cents kilowatt hour. Ayaw mag-compute. Ayaw mag-reset. Ilaps na lang daw. Para tuloy-tuloy ang kanilang ligaya. The Congress must not allow this, Mr. Speaker. Huwag natin itong hayaan. And these commissioners must be held accountable. Ang tagal na po nito. At matagal na rin nila tayong niloloko. Kalahati po ang sobrang singil nila sa atin dahil sa pangunguna ng ERC. Maraming buhay ang nasira, maraming trabaho ang nawala, maraming tao ang imbis na ibili ng pagkain ay binabayad sa kuryente. It's payback time, Mr. Speaker. It's time to get back and bring back the decency, honesty, and transparency in the Energy Regulatory Commission. Di kaya ni Chairwoman Mona Lisa Di Malanta ito mag-isa. Hindi kaya ito ni Commissioner Catherine Maceda. 5 ang bumoboto doon. 3 ang bumoboto against sa kanila. With this, Mr. Speaker, I move that these people must be held accountable. And this privilege speech be referred to Committee on Public Accounts. Maraming salamat po.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we refer the speech of the Honorable Dan S. Fernandez to the Committee on Rules for its appropriate action.
Bago po natin ilagay sa committee, gusto ko po munang makapagtanong ng ilan.
The Honorable Abante is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mukha yatang masyadong matindi ang condemnation ng aking kaibigan, Congressman Dan Fernandez. Hindi ko alam kung kanyang kinokondem ang Meralco o ang Energy Commission. So, sino ba po talaga, Mr. Speaker, ang talagang pinapatukuyan nyo rito? Ito po pong Energy Commission natin o yung Meralco?
Hindi naman po ito magagawa, Mr. Speaker, ng Meralco lang. At hindi naman ito magagawa ng ERC ng sila lang. Nabuhatan to, Mr. Speaker, to the highest level. And that's the reason why we need to invite these commissioners, these 3 commissioners that I mentioned, dahil mahabang panahon na tayo niloloko eh. As a matter of fact, Mr. Chairman, nakakausap ko yung mga yan. Pumunta po yan sila sa akin sa opisina, kasama si Chairwoman Mona Lisa Di Malanta, upang sa ganun i-explain ang kanilang mga side. At pinangako nila sa akin na magkakaroon ng bagong reset, bagong computation, bagong weighted average cost of capital. Yung 1 peso and 35 cents na simula pa ng 2012, hindi na nila binago, Mr. Speaker. Anong dahilan at ayaw niyong baguhin samantalang sinasabi ng rules ninyo na every regulatory period, magko-compute ang ERC. Para nang sa ganun, makita ang lahat ng mga parameters, lahat ng parametro, bakit ito ang taripa na ibibigay natin sa taong bayan. Hindi nila binago. Anong dahilan? Dahil ayaw nilang bumaba ang singil ng kuryente. Ganun kasimple to, Mr. Chairman. Kaya nga sinasabi ko, ayoko nang gumamit ng mga technical words para maintindihan ng ating mga kasamahan, para maintindihan ng ating mga kababayan, 1.35, 1 peso and 35 cents mula ng 2012. Tingin mo, hindi na bago yun sa mga panahong ito? 2024 na? At ang gusto nila, Mr. Chairman, aside sa pinangako nila na magkakaroon na ng computation para po sa 2016 hanggang 2022, para sa 5th regulatory period, aba, Mr. Speaker, meron po ngayon, ako nabalitaan, na sinasabi sa news, pati na yung 5th regulatory period, mula 2022 hanggang 2026, hindi na rin sila magko-compute. 1 peso and 35 cents na naman ang kanilang paiiralin, nasisingilin sa ating kababayan. And this is too much.
So, Mr. Speaker, ang gusto ko lang itanong dito, sino ba? Kayo po ay tumukoy ng 3 pangalan na masasabi nating culprit sa mga bagay na iyong sinasabi ngayon. Pakitukoy nga uli yung mga pangalan, Mr. Speaker.
So sila Commissioner Alexis Lumbatan, Commissioner Marco Romeo Puentes, Commissioner Florecinda Baldo Digal. Sila rin yung mga taong kausap natin dito noong 2019. Dito sa plenaryong to, na atin pong hinihiling sa kanila na ibigay ang bagong weighted average cost of capital, ibigay yung bagong computation ng bagong taripa ng ating mamamayan. Nangako sila na ilalabas sila. Nangako sila na ibibigay sa kongresong ito. Ano na po ngayon? 2024 na. Magte-2025 na. At ngayon gusto pa nila yung susunod 2022 hanggang 2026. Lapse na naman. Ibig sabihin, Mr. Speaker, abay, 1.35 na naman. Hindi na nila binago at wala na silang intensyon na baguhin pa. Ang tanong, Mr. Speaker, bakit? Magkano?
So ang ibig niyo sabihin, Mr. Speaker, ay itong tatlong to ay dapat na ipatawag ng Committee on Public Accounts.
Yes. Yes, Mr. Speaker.
At hindi lang yan ba ay nababatay sa iyong privileged speech o ang Committee on Public Accounts ay tumawag din ng motu proprio investigation tungkol dito?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, because we need to investigate these public officials.
Kailangan din pa, Mr. Speaker, na patawag ang Meralco tungkol dito.
Well, I think we need to invite also the Meralco, but in public accounts, no, which is headed by Chairman Paduano, it deals with the public officials. And we need to make these people accountable. Malaman po natin, bakit? Bakit ayaw nyo baguhin yung 1.35? Anong meron sa 1 peso and 35 cents per kilowatt hour? Alam mo, Mr. Speaker, ang tao, kapag tinignan ang 1 peso and 35 kilowatt hour, titingnan nila, ang liit-liit naman yan. Ano ba naman yan? Pero, Mr. Speaker, sa isang kumukonsumo ng 250 to 300 kilowatt per hour, that is 3,000 pesos to 5,000 pesos already. Tipid na tipid yun. Bombilya, TV, refrigerator. Bakit hirap na hirap ang ating mamamayan? Dahil nga, Mr. Speaker, ayaw ng ERC, ayaw nilang mag-compute, ayaw nilang baguhin yung 1 peso and 35 cents.
So, Mr. Speaker, naniniwala kayo na merong connivance ang ERC dito at ang Meralco?
Ako ay naniniwala, Mr. Speaker, that there is a connivance between the two because
maaring
it takes two to tango eh. Hindi po magagawa to nang wala ang isa't isa.
Maaring pong 1 peso and 35 cents, maliit po yun sa mga bilyonaryo na tulad ng may-ari ng Meralco. Pero napakalagit po niyan sa ating mga ordinaryong mga kababayan. Ano po, Mr. Speaker?
As a matter of fact, Mr. Speaker, if I may, no? Dahil dito po sa tinatawag na financial statement ng Meralco, lumalabas doon na meron silang tinatawag na provision for refund. Taon-taon, meron po silang tinatawag na provision for refund na almost 10 billion a year. So with this na meron silang provision for refund, ang title po noon ay tinatawag na for possible claims. So ibig sabihin, anticipated na po nila na meron talaga na silang ibabalik. And as a matter of fact, Mr. Speaker, nagbalik na po sila ng almost 48 billion. Pero these are not enough. Dahil ang computation po natin, sa 1.35, sobra-sobra po ang siningil nila sa ating mga kababayan. And it's just right and proper that we have to give it back to the Filipino people, doon sa mga Meralco consumers. At nakakalungkot, no? Dahil nga po, sa loob po ng maraming taon, as a matter of fact, ay 2016 pa ho yan, nung sinimulan natin ng 2019. Ano nung taon na po ngayon, pero wala pa rin po nagbabago. At I think, no? We need to invite yung mga public official dito para, ngayon, bakit ganun yung mga desisyon nila? At makikita po natin ang dahilan, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, sino po ba talaga nagsasuggest na ibaba ang cost per kilowatt? Ito po bang Meralco o ito pong ERC?
Hindi po. Ang Meralco po, sila po humihingi, nag-a-apply po yan. Nagkakaroon po yan ng application for reset. At pagkatapos po, ang ERC, sila po ay magko-conduct ng isang tinatawag na what you call this, regulatory period, no? Nag-conduct po sila ng malawakang computation para po makuha yung tinatawag na weighted average cost of capital na kung saan, yun yung kita noong distribution company. Malawakan pa to, masyado pong masalimuot. Kasama dito yung mga regulatory asset base, mga tinatawag po mga nominal, tapos mga tinatawag actual WACC, saka yung vanilla WACC, mga ganun po. Medyo technical na yon na ayoko na pong banggitin. Pero sila po ang nagde-determine, ang ERC. At kapag na-determine po nila, no, yung pong tinatawag nating weighted average cost of capital, yung po yung i-apply ngayon ng Meralco. So in other words, ang nag-a-apply ang Meralco para bigyan sila ng tamang taripa at ang ERC po ang may responsibilidad doon sa tamang taripang ibibigay sa ating mga kababayan. Now, kung meron pong overcollection or error doon sa ginawang computation, it is just right and proper for the ERC to correct their own error. Mandated po yan doon sa tinatawag po nating RDWR o yung Rules on Distribution Wheeling Rates na kung saan nakabanggit dyan sa article, I forgot the number of the article, na sinasabi po nila na kapag nagkaroon ng error sa collection na binigay sa taong bayan, it is mandated to the ERC to correct their own mistakes. And as a matter of fact, Mr. Speaker, kinorek nila ang kanilang mga mistake noong 2022. Months bago bumaba si Chairwoman Agnes de Banadera. Pero ang ginawa nilang correction, hindi po computation. Ang ginawa po nila is true up something, true up na kung saan sinasabi lang po nila, i-consider na nating lapse yan. I-consider na nating tapos na yan. At ang gawin na lang natin, kunin na lang natin yung taripa nung nakaraang regulatory period, na third regulatory period, i-apply na lang natin sa fourth regulatory period. Kung ano yung nagawang computation nung third regulatory period, na mali ang computation, i-apply na lang sa fourth, i-apply na lang sa fifth. In other words, Mr. Speaker, apply na lang sila ng apply. Consider na nating lapse, apply na lang natin 1 peso and 35 cents. Huwag nating baguhin ang 1 peso and 35 cents. Bakit? Yan ang katanungan mula ng 2019 hanggang ngayon. Yan pa rin ang katanungan natin ngayon.
So, Mr. Speaker, ang gusto ko lang malaman, meron bang kinikita ang ERC dito sa ganitong kondisyon?
Kinikita ano po, Mr. Speaker?
Meron bang kinikitang pera ang ERC dito sa ganitong kondisyon?
Ito po yung taripa ng binabayad na kuryente ng ating mga taong bayan doon sa pagdidistribute ng kuryente galing sa transmission. From generation power plant, magbabayad tayo doon, yung magkano yung kuryente, tatransmit yung kuryente, magbabayad din tayo doon, 0.80 cents. Tapos dadalhin sa distribution na company, sila naman ang magdidistribute sa atin ng kuryente. Yun ang binabayaran po natin, yung 1 peso and 35 kilowatt per hour na distribution rate ng Meralco. Pero yung kanilang rate na yon sobra.
Therefore, Mr. Speaker, meron ding malaking accountability ang Meralco dito. Pinag-uusapan po yung distribution na yan ng per kilowatt cost.
Alam mo, Mr. Speaker, ilang beses po natin naibitahan ng Meralco dito. Sa Committee on Energy, we always invited the Meralco. Ang lagi nilang tinutulo ang ERC, which is the right thing to do because the determination of the tariff that will be charged to the people is basically being handled by the ERC. Magaling Magaling po talaga. Kumbaga parang ERC ang nagbigay ng na elapsed period na yan Ay ERC ang hindi nag-compute So, ang tagal na natin nakikipaglaban dito, Mr. Speaker. And I hope our Filipino people will understand in the simplest manner bakit 135 mula noong 2012 hanggang ngayon, ayaw nilang baguhin. Ang sasabihin nila, sagot nila dyan, I'm pretty sure. Hindi naman po 1 peso and 35. Ang naaprubahan po dyan, ang siningil namin is 1 peso and 44 cents. Tama, 1.44. Tapos nakita na may mali, kaya ginawang 1.38. May nakita na naman, sobra naman, ginawa nilang 1.35. Ganun po ang istorya niya. Napakahabang technical issues that I wanted to explain to our people. But of course, Mr. Speaker, hindi po ganun kadali maintindihan ito. But ang pinaka-importante, ang pinakabuod, point 1, point 2, 5 cents is very important. This equate to billions of money being collected to our Filipino people. Sobrang bilyon na po ang kinolekta ng Meralco dahil po dito sa sobrang singil mula 2016 hanggang sa kasalukuyan. We need to find out the culpability of these public officials.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, pagka minsan kasi, pag commission, tulad po ng PhilHealth, no? Ayos lang pagkakaiba yan na wala silang pakialam sa ating mga kababayan na naghihirap, no? Sapagkat ngayon po, sa ating panahon, milyon-milyon pa rin ating mga kababayan na naghihirap at kinakailangan tulungan natin. I think that is one of the things that this commission should realize. They should not only think of any technicality or professional decision, but they should always think of the need of the many of our people na nahihirapan po sila na magbayad ng kuryente. Kaya ako po, tulad ng binanggit ni Congressman Dan Fernandez, nagbigay siya ng motion na imbestigahan po ito sa Committee on Public Accounts. Ako po ay nagse-second demotion po ako dito. At palagay ko po ay kinakailang i-fast track na ang investigasyon na ito, Mr. Speaker, because this concerns the plight of the ordinary Filipino people. Ito po ang dapat nating tingnan. Magandang hapon po. Maraming salamat, Mr. Speaker, sa pagkakataon. Maraming salamat, Your Honor, for giving me the chance to interpolate.
Thank you so much. Maraming salamat po.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we refer the speech of the Honorable Fernandez together with its interpolation to the Committee on Rules for its appropriate action.
Is there any objection? Chair hears none. The motion is approved, and the privileged speech of the Honorable Dan Fernandez, along with the interpellation of the Honorable Benny Abante, is referred first to the Committee on Rules. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, before we proceed, may we recognize the guests of the Honorable Filimon Espares of the Co-op NATCO Party List. We have today from Los Angeles, California, Hannah Gilmore, Honey May Gilmore, from Davao City, Suzette Batilier and Lani Roque, and from Sarangani Province, Minda Grace Sanchez.
We welcome the visitors of Congressman Filimon M. Espares of the Co-op NATCO Party List, our guests from Los Angeles, California, from Davao City, and from Sarangani Province. Thank you for your visit. Welcome to the House of Representatives. Mabuhay po kayo. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move to extend the privilege hour for another 30 minutes. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Is there any objection? Chair hears none. The privilege hour is extended another 30 minutes. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we recognize Representative Raul Angelo Gil Bongalon of Ako Bicol Party List to avail of the privilege hour.
The gentleman from the Party List Ako Bicol, the Honorable Raul Angelo Bongalon, is recognized to avail of the privilege hour.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Majority Floor Leader. Mr. Speaker, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I rise today with a heavy heart, but with a spirit of resilience, to speak on the recent devastation brought upon by Typhoon Christine in the Bicol region few weeks ago. The winds of this typhoon were fierce, and the volume of rain are relentless, but the strength of our people, as always, remain unshaken. On October 21 to 25, 2024, severe tropical storm Christine brought torrential rains and violent winds, triggering flash floods and landslides in most parts of the country, with the Bicol region bearing the brunt. Christine dumped more than 2 months' worth of rainfall in the region in just 24 hours, causing an unprecedented disaster that trapped thousands of residents in flood waters and lahar flow, paralyzed the region's main thoroughfares that isolated communities for days, and damaged or destroyed several roads and bridges. Typhoon Christine came with such force, leaving in its wake damaged homes, flooded fields, and displaced families. It tested not just our infrastructure, but the very core of our communities. Barangays across the provinces of Albay, Sorsogon, and Camarines Sur were among the hardest hit, with thousands of families forced to leave behind everything they hold dear. The typhoon has been a harsh reminder of the vulnerability of our region, a region that has seen its fair share of natural calamities, yet has never wavered in its will to recover. According to the situational report of the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council, last October 28, 2024, a total of 6,717,755 individuals, or 1,662,416 families were affected by Christine. As of October 30 of 2024, a total of 145 people were reportedly killed due to the storm, 46 of which are in the Bicol region. Meanwhile, 115 people were injured and 37 people were still reportedly missing. In the October 31, 2024 bulletin of the Department of Agriculture, the agricultural sector sustained an estimated 4.85 billion damage because of severe tropical storm Christine. As of October 28, 2024, the Department of Agriculture, Region 5 Bicol, has reported more than 2.1 billion in initial damage to the agricultural sector, broken down per province as follows. Province of Camarines Sur, 1.27 billion. Province of Albay, 403 million. Masbate Province, 264 million. Camarines Norte, 226 million. Province of Sorsogon, 108 million. And the province of Catanduanes, 70.98 million. Mr. Speaker, many farmers and fishermen were likewise severely affected by Typhoon Christine. According to the Office of Civil Defense Bicol, the estimated infrastructure damage amounted to 855 million. This included damage to covered courts, multi-purpose buildings, bridges, public markets, schools, evacuation centers, health facilities, and roads. Although compared to the previous years, the number of typhoons that have hit the country has decreased. We have been experiencing unprecedented wind speeds and rainfalls with devastating impacts across the country that is attributable to climate change. While we acknowledge, but certainly not glorify the notion of Filipino resiliency during these times, we are being called to step up and help our constituents not only to recover from the devastation brought about by Christine, but more importantly, to reassess how we can change and improve our existing policies and processes so that Bicol region and other parts of the country can be more prepared for similar occurrences in the future. But amid this storm, Mr. Speaker, we saw once again the Filipino spirit of bayanihan, that spirited force that brings us together in times of crisis. I stand before you today to share not only the struggles, but also the stories of hope that have emerged from this devastation. First, let me extend our deepest gratitude to our Speaker, the Honorable Ferdinand Martin Romualdez, for his swift response and assistance in bringing the much-needed relief packs to thousands of families affected by Typhoon Christine. Aside from the relief goods, the Office of the Honorable House Speaker, in coordination with the Office of the Honorable Elizaldico of Ako Bicol Party List, responded in bringing the provision of rubber boats, blankets, modular tents, outboard motors, and other water rescue equipment. With this, his leadership and compassion have been a beacon of hope for our kababayans, and for that, we are very thankful. His actions demonstrate that in times of adversity, we can rely on each other to bring about the support and aid our people deserve. I would also like to express my sincere gratitude to His Excellency President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. for his swift and compassionate response in the wake of Typhoon Christine. Aside from his orders to immediately respond to the needs of our people, the President's directive to the Energy Regulatory Commission, leading to the suspension of electricity disconnections and the implementation of flexible payment schemes in affected areas, has brought much-needed relief to thousands of families across the Bicol region and other calamity-stricken areas. This decisive action underscores his commitment to easing the burdens on our kababayans as they work towards recovery, and we are deeply grateful for his leadership and support during this difficult time. Maraming salamat po, Mr. President. Thank you for your unwavering dedication to the welfare of the Filipino people. Lastly, amidst the turmoil, Mr. Speaker, and equally as important, let me also wholeheartedly acknowledge the tireless work of our local government units, first responders, private sectors, national government, non-government organizations, and volunteers who braved the elements to ensure that help was delivered to the most vulnerable. Their dedication has made it clear that the heart of our Bicolano communities beats stronger than any typhoon. Nevertheless, as we continue to rebuild from the devastation of Typhoon Christine, there is hope on the horizon in the form of the Ligtas Pinoy Centers Act, a landmark bill that is expected to be signed into law by President Marcos Jr. soon. This legislation, championed by our Speaker, aims to establish a network of permanent, storm-resilient evacuation centers across the country. These centers will serve as a safe haven for millions of Filipinos facing increasingly severe climate-related disasters. Mr. Speaker, the tireless advocacy for this measure, along with the support of President Marcos, reflects our shared commitment to ensuring that no Filipino is left vulnerable in times of calamity. Let us continue to push for a future where our communities are equipped to withstand the growing challenges of climate change. Once again, thank you, Speaker Martin Romualdez, for your leadership in this critical endeavor. Yet, as we gather here, let us not forget that our work is far from over. There are still thousands of families who need long-term solutions, sustainable rehabilitation, reconstruction of schools, and support for our farmers and fishermen whose livelihoods have severely affected. These people are the backbone of our economy, and they must not be left behind in the recovery process. It is important to note also that it is undeniable that no flood control system, no matter how advanced, can fully prevent or lessen the impact of a storm that brings such an immense and prolonged downpour. When a storm stalls over a region for more than 24 hours, saturating the land with torrential rain, it exceeds the capacity of any human-made infrastructure to contain or redirect the volume of water. The sheer amount of rainfall, like Typhoon Christine, unleashed in just a single day, was beyond the limits of what any engineered solution could manage. This reality highlights the need for broader disaster preparedness, including early warning systems, resilient community planning, and climate change mitigation efforts to safeguard our people in the face of increasingly severe weather events. Unfortunately and admittedly, severe tropical storm Christine, which caused unprecedented violent weather conditions over the Bicol region and other parts of the country, have exposed critical gaps in disaster preparedness and response system. In line with this, I would like to invite the attention of my colleagues to consider the pending bills. It is high time to prioritize the passage of the following bills that will certainly supplement and strengthen the existing policies or processes of both the national and local government in our country. House Bill number 08350 and House Bill number 10422, an act amending certain provisions of Republic Act number 10121 to strengthen the Philippine Disaster Risk Reduction and Management System. These bills seek to strengthen our country's disaster response by refining the organizational structure of the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council system, making it more resilient and capable of immediate action. This bill also introduces improvements to the existing management system, which will enhance its ability to anticipate, respond to, and mitigate the effects of severe weather disturbances such as Typhoon Christine. House Bill number 08463, an act providing for the establishment and construction of disaster food banks and stockpiles in every province and highly urbanized city in the Philippines, and appropriating funds therefore. During Typhoon Christine, many regions were cut off from food and essential supplies due to blocked roads. By implementing this bill, we ensure a strategic reserve of food and necessities which are always available to the most vulnerable communities. Mr. Speaker, our region has always been resilient. We have rebuilt time and again from the ashes of calamity. But it is in times like this that we must not only rebuild what was lost, but also prepare for what is yet to come. Climate change is no longer a distant threat. It is our present reality. The onslaught of Typhoon Christine is a stark reminder that we must continue to push for stronger, more comprehensive disaster preparedness programs and more sustainable infrastructure that can withstand the increasing frequency and intensity of this natural disaster. I therefore call upon my fellow legislators to unite in strengthening our efforts to provide assistance and recovery for those affected by this typhoon and to ensure that in the future, our people will be safer, stronger, and more prepared. Let us commit to providing the necessary funding, resources, and legislation that will secure a better future for our communities. Mr. Speaker, with the guidance of this leadership and the collective effort of this House, I believe we can turn the trials brought by Typhoon Christine into an opportunity to build a more resilient, prosperous, and a hopeful Bicol region. Maraming salamat po at mabuhay ang mga Bicolano.
Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we refer the speech of the Honorable Representative Raul Angelo Gil Bongalon to the Committee on Rules for its appropriate action.
Is there any objection? The chair hears none. The privileged speech of the Honorable Raul Angelo Bang Bongalon of the party list Ako Bicol is referred to the Committee on Rules. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I move that we terminate the privilege hour.
Is there any objection? Chair hears none. The privilege hour is terminated. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, there being no other business left for the day, I move that we adjourn session until tomorrow, November 5, 2024 at 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Session is adjourned until tomorrow, November 5, Tuesday at 3 p.m.